Hello and welcome to this tips and techniques video from Master Your Photography. In this series we've carefully crafted a collection of short videos designed to provide you with key points on specific topics without any of the unnecessary waffle. Our goal is to give you practical information that you can immediately apply to your own photography. We understand that your time is precious, so we've condensed each video to deliver concise, actionable information. With our tips and techniques series, you'll gain the knowledge and the confidence to improve your photography in no time at all. So, that's probably enough waffle, let's get started. In this video, I want to give you some tips that will be really useful if you're looking for a new camera. It's going to be particularly appropriate for new photographers. What I want to do is give you an overview of the different camera formats that are available and explain why you might choose one over another. I'm not going to get into the nitty-gritty of individual models and technical specifications because the minute I do that, this video will be out of date because the models will change. The first type of camera that we need to consider is the humble smartphone. It's probably the camera that you've got in your pocket right now or on your desk next to you. Some people would argue that a smartphone isn't a proper camera, and I would argue that yes, actually it is a proper camera because you can take photos on it, and I know professionals, myself included, who've actually sold images from their smartphones. The best thing about a smartphone is you have got it with you most of the time, so they're so convenient. Something happens, you've got your camera, you can take a picture. They're really user-friendly, they're designed to be user-friendly, they're designed for non-photographers. The big disadvantage of them is they have small sensors, which means that they can suffer from noise, digital noise on your pictures, and a lot of them use digital zoom technology. But if you shoot pictures in good light and you don't use the digital zoom facility, then they really are capable of some stunning results. I've grouped the smartphone with compact cameras, and the reason I've done that is because in many ways, smartphones are actually taking over from compact cameras. What I mean by a compact camera is something really small that will slip in your pocket, a bit like a smartphone does, but you can't make phone calls on a compact camera. They're affordable, they're nice and easy to carry around, brilliant for beginners. They don't always have a lot of manual control on them, but that's not necessarily a problem if you're just starting out. And they don't have interchangeable lenses, but as something that is easy to carry and can be used fairly spontaneously, a bit like your smartphone, then a compact camera is still a useful option and something that you should maybe look into. At the other end of the scale, we've got DSLRs and mirrorless cameras. Now I've put these two together because these are the two types that are favoured by professional photographers. The DSLR, that's the digital version of the single lens reflex camera that's been around for a very long time, provides excellent image quality, it's usually fully manual, and the big thing is it's got interchangeable lenses. So you buy the camera body and then you buy a range of lenses depending on what your photographic needs are. The downside of a DSLR is that they can be quite heavy and they can be quite expensive. But if you want the very best results, then they're very difficult to beat. Some mirrorless cameras, however, will beat them. They have the same excellent image quality. They are slightly more portable. They're not quite as heavy as a DSLR, but they still have the same high image quality. They have the same flexibility in terms of interchangeable lenses, and they are really fast at autofocusing, and their shooting rates can be quite phenomenal. They can be quite expensive. They are the new kid on the block, so to speak, in the professional world, and you'll find many professional photographers are currently switching over from DSLRs to mirrorless cameras and enjoying the benefits that they give you. Now, bridging this gap between smartphones and compact cameras and the DSLRs and the mirrorless cameras are what we call bridge cameras. Now the bridge cameras brings some of that manual control and image quality from the professional end of the market, but it also offers the flexibility and the portability of the more consumer orientated end of the market from the smartphones and compact cameras. Now a bridge camera usually has a lens that has a fairly decent zoom range on it, so it will go from a wide angle to a telephoto, but it's usually fixed in place, this lens, so you can't change that lens for a different one if you want to. The sensor size usually sits somewhere between that that's used in a compact camera and that from a DSLR, but it does vary from model to model. And basically a bridge camera bridges that gap and can be a really useful introduction to more advanced photography for someone who's maybe been using a compact camera, wants to move up to a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. A bridge camera can be a really good interim measure. A key factor for image quality, and this applies to any camera, is the size of the sensor that actually captures the light that the lens focuses upon it. So we talk about a full frame sensor, and this is the kind of benchmark that we work to. So a full frame sensor equates to a 36 by 24 millimeter sensor size, and that's the same as an old style piece of film, a 35mm piece of film. So that's where that term comes from, full frame. And you'll find that DSLRs and mirrorless cameras tend to use these at the top end. You'll also find some DSLRs and mirrorless cameras use the next size down, which is known as APS-C. And then there is a smaller format known as Micro Four Thirds. Stepping down from that, we get to quite a range of different sizes that different compact cameras will use, and then the smallest sensors of all tend to be those in most smartphones. If you have a smaller sensor, then it can't capture as much light, and it means it will struggle more in low light conditions. Now what you can do is turn up the ISO, that's the sensitivity to light setting that you have on your camera. But again, you'll find that with a smaller sensor, as you turn up the ISO, then you will get what's called digital noise in your pictures. You've probably seen it when you've taken a picture in a dark environment and you get all these coloured dots within the image. Well, that's digital noise. A bigger sensor, you can turn the ISO up and you won't suffer from these problems quite so much. That's because each individual sensor within that frame is bigger than the individual sensors within, say, your smartphone. So it's worth considering the sensor size in any camera that you might want to buy, because it will have an impact on the image quality. Unfortunately, the sensor size also has quite a large impact on the price of the camera as well. The bigger the sensor, the bigger the price tends to be. Some of the factors that are worth considering when you're choosing a camera are the ergonomics and how you actually handle the camera. Is it too heavy in your hand when you're trying to take a picture? Does it make you feel unstable? Are the controls where you need them to be so that you can get to them quickly? You know, if you're shooting sports photography and you need to be tweaking the settings quite quickly while still looking through the viewfinder, then can you actually put your fingers on those controls and change them without taking your eye from the viewfinder? If you're shooting landscapes, it might not be an issue, but you might have other considerations. The weight might be a bigger consideration then, because you don't want to be trekking up and down hills with a lot of extra weight to carry. Various menus exist within different camera systems, and some are easy to use and some are not so easy to use. So I would always suggest you try to have a look at how the menu systems work before you actually part with any money for a new camera. Again, if you're working outside, then you might want to consider whether the camera you're looking at buying is weather sealed. What I mean by weather sealed is does it offer some kind of protection against rain or sand? If you're working on beaches, you don't want sand getting into places where it shouldn't be. And also think about, from a weight point of view, is the camera body metal or is it plastic? If it's metal, then it's going to be a lot more rugged, and you can bash it around. I'm not suggesting you should bash your cameras around, but it means if it gets a few knocks, it's probably going to survive a lot better than if it's, say, a plastic camera body. On the other hand, the plastic camera body will be a lot lighter, so if you're trekking up mountains to take pictures of landscapes, then it might be a better idea to go for the lightweight option. There are cameras out there to suit almost everybody, not always at the budget that you would like them to be at, but there is a camera to suit everybody in every situation. Unfortunately, there isn't one universal camera that will do everything really, really well. I will pop some links to some different camera models in the comments section below, If you want specific answers to questions about different camera models, then obviously I don't know every camera model on the market, but I might be able to offer you some insight into why one is better over another just by looking at the specifications. So please get in touch, and hopefully this has been of use to you. If it has, then please comment below and hit the subscribe button. Thank you for tuning in to Master Your Photography's Tips and Techniques series. We hope you found this video useful and practical. Remember, each photo you take is a stepping stone towards becoming a better photographer. So get out there and capture the world in your own unique way. Until next time, happy shooting.